4, 3, 2, 1, and we are. Hello, hi, hello. Thank you, welcome, one and all. Thank you for coming to Spacewalk with me, the Malaysia's first online storytelling show. I'm not sure about the facts on that, but I hope that is a true thing that I just said. With all this, everyone's cooped up at home. There's a lot of storytelling that needs to be done that isn't being told, and Spacewalk with me is a place where you can tell a story, any story. Is it your own story? A story of your own personal love or loss or triumph, success, struggle? Is it a story that you've made up? And is it a story that you've made up and, basically, is it a fiction? Is it a short story? Is it fiction? Is it a short story? Is it something that people want to live inside of them? Is it a story that is meant to be passed down the generations? Is it history? Is it a fairy tale? All these stories are allowed. For tonight, the first edition of Spacewalk, we'll be having 7 people joining us, sharing their own stories. First up is a friend who's very dear to me. He is the host of a daily live stream called Checking In on Funny People. I've known him for about 8 years at this point. We started doing stand-up comedy at the same time. And now he's here and he's telling stories. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome into your hearts Mr. Sim Tong. All right, Sim, take it away.
Okay. Hi guys. Like Ammar said, we both started performing stand-up comedy at the same time. So that was quite a few years ago. So I have been performing stand-up comedy for a long time. And I remember actually the first time that I performed, and it was probably the most memorable set that I've ever done is like that first time I performed, because it was the first time is always magical, right? First time you do anything. And I was lucky in that I did well, and I performed my set, I memorized it, I rehearsed it, I wrote it, I memorized it a few times. And then when I performed it, and I got laughs from it, I felt like, wow, this is so special. This is like, it's like, I didn't know whether like all these funny thoughts that I had were just me, or whether other people were also feeling it too, right? And then when they were laughing, I just felt like, this is like, I'm not alone anymore, you know what I mean? So like, it was so special to me. And then, so now I've been doing it for a while, and I always encourage people to do stand-up comedy. If anybody wants to try stand-up comedy, I would encourage everybody to try it. Find an open mic, get on the stage, or write a set, write some jokes that you think are funny, or some thoughts that are funny, and go and try it out, But my only advice is maybe don't call yourself a stand-up comedian just yet after your first performance at an open mic, because I realized this very early on in my in stand-up comedy, because like very early on I realized like all these more comedians who are more established, they were kind of like not liking it when people were calling themselves comedians after 1 or 2 performances. They were like, I remember this one time, this comedian was like writing something on Facebook saying like, what's up with all these new young open micers? They do 1 show and then 1 or 2 shows, and then they call themselves comedians, and then they have a Facebook comedy page, and then they have like they have a comedy blog. And so I was like, yeah, what is up with all these young new comedians who are coming in, open micers are coming in and calling themselves comedians, right? I was kind of like, yeah, that's like, I kind of like, I felt the same way. And then I thought, wait a minute, I have a comedy blog, and I have a and I have a comedy Facebook page. Maybe they're talking about me, And then I was like, nah, they're not talking about me. They're talking about the other guys who are newer than me. I've done like 2 comedy shows, 2 open mic comedy shows. They're not talking about me. So I was kind of like in denial. And then I was like, nah, 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 I'm a comedian. They're not talking about me. And then one day I kind of like, I couldn't deny it anymore because this was what happened one day. I was hanging out with a group of comedians, and I was introduced to a comedian who was visiting from India. And this was the way that we were all introduced. Like we were all standing in line, and this comedian that knew the visiting comedian was introducing us. And he was like, the visiting comedian from India, his name was Papa CJ. So it's like, okay, Papa CJ, you know Harith. Harith is a very famous comedian, local comedian. And Kavin. Kavin is a comedian. And Rizal. Rizal is a comedian. And this is Kavin. He's a comedian. Rizal is a comedian. And this is Sim. He does comedy. And I was like, what? One of these introductions is not the same as the others, So I was like, wait a minute. That means I'm not a comedian. So I was like, okay, well, screw this guy. I'm a comedian, right? I was still kind of like that. I was indignant. And so for a while there, I was just indignant. I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to prove to him, I'm going to prove to everyone that I am a comedian, And so that was my focus at that time. I was like, okay, I was trying everything. I was desperate, right? I was trying everything to be funny. I was like just going in all directions with my comedy at the same time. I was taking in all sorts of gigs. I was just like, at one point I was like, okay, I was trying like absurdist comedy, and then at the same time I would mix it in with like serious stories. I would be telling a story like that is pretty real about myself, about my wife, and then in the middle of it there'd be a talking dog. So none of it made sense. And so I was trying all these things, and I was like, I wasn't really getting the laughs that I was getting earlier. And I was like, what's happening here? And then I was taking in all these gigs. And one of the gigs that I took, I remember, was actually the worst time I ever bombed, because it was this place. There was this job to perform at this bar, and I took it. And the host was getting no laugh. So already we knew that this room was not ideal, and the crowd was, not the hottest crowd ever. And then I was like, never mind, I'm gonna get them. I'm gonna do my set. I have jokes, right? Jokes are gonna work. So I did my jokes, and at first I was like getting the crowd a little bit. They were starting to chuckle and they were starting to laugh. I'm like, it's working. And then there was this distraction because this waiter came in, and he was opening this cabinet by the side. And so he was just blocking the stage, and he was pulling the cabinet door to get out this bottle of alcoholic drinks that belong to some of the regular customers there. And so he made this screeching noise, and he was blocking the stage, and I was like ducking down to perform under his armpit and just trying to continue with the show. But I didn't know how to deal with the interruption, so I was just trying to get through it. And then I lost the crowd. And then like I was like, okay, never mind. I'm getting to the part of my set where I'm getting into the dirty jokes, and usually the dirty jokes work very well. But because I had lost the crowd were not into it at all. So I went into the dirty jokes. The crowd was kind of creeped out, And then there was even one lady who said, "That's offensive." And I was like, what? Okay, I guess I won't do that joke anymore. She's like, "You're right, you shouldn't." And I was like, you know what? You're not gonna like the rest of my set. And the worst thing was, like, I couldn't even leave that place because like I was hanging out with the comedians, and the place we were sitting was right beside the stage. So I had to go back to like that part of the side of the stage, kind of like the green room area. And I just hid there for like the rest of the show. And that was like the worst I ever bombed. And I was like, I don't know if this comedy thing is for me. I think that guy was right. I'm not a comedian. I'm just some guy trying to do comedy. I'm just, And so I was like, okay, I'm not gonna do comedy. I'm not gonna try being a comedian. And like, this is not me. I'm not a comedian. And I was like, okay, I'm just gonna quit. But at the same time, after I did that, I felt like this relief. And all of a sudden, it was like I started seeing everything as funny again, Like the jokes were just coming in to me. Like I felt what's happening here is the universe playing a trick on me, Like just as I said, I want to quit, like all the jokes are coming back. So I was like, okay, you know what? I'm not gonna bother with whether I am a comedian or whether I'm not a comedian. I'm just gonna take it one step at a time, right? I'm just gonna say I'm just gonna do the jokes, right? Because even if I wanted to quit, I couldn't because I was so compelled. I was feeling like I have to find out if this joke works, right? How am I doing for time, Ayman?
For time?
Yeah. Am I
Um,
way over already?
don't worry about it. It's fine. Finish
Okay.
the story. Finish the story.
On with the story.
We're all invested.
All right.
Be a comedian.
Okay. Yeah. So I was like, okay. So these jokes are coming in, and I'm like, I have to find out if these jokes work. I felt really compelled. Like this is like I cannot sleep if I don't find out if these jokes work, right? So I was like, okay, I'll still go to the open mics. I'll still try the jokes. And as I was doing that, I was getting more and more gigs, and I'm like, okay, I guess I'll just keep doing this until I can't do it anymore. So just one step at a time, I was doing that, and then I realized like, actually, this is what I wanted in the first place. I didn't want to be a comedian. I just wanted to do comedy. This was what drew me in the first place. And I was like, there's no value in being. There's like doing is more important than being, right? Like there's no point in me calling myself a comedian doesn't do anything to the world, doesn't change anything. It's when I do the comedy, that's when like people, um, like people will laugh, people will, get something out of it. I feel like that affects more change in the world. So since then, everything that I've done since then has been um, focus on doing rather than being. And as a side note, the guy who introduced me as Sim also does comedy. He and I have always been good friends. And nowadays he introduces me as a comedian. But that's not important. Anyway, thanks for listening to my story. That was the end of it.
Thank you.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Sim. Thank you. Hey, so Sim, real comedian Sim.
Thanks very much.
Yes. Thank you for your story. Sim was the first person to tell me that like, hey, I want to do this because he was the first person I told. So that's it.
Right.
While you're here, also, Sim, I was so frazzled by setting up this entire Spacewalk with me thing, and I've spent the entire 3 or 4 days setting everything up, figuring out the chat and all that. Why don't you introduce me, Sim, just for a quick second, in case there's anyone who doesn't know who I am.
Yeah, so Ayman is, I've known him for years as a comedian. We were in a show together. In fact, my first show that I put together, Ayman was in it as well, with one other guy. And so I always knew him as a funny guy, but I also kind of knew him as a storyteller as well. Like you're like, Ayman is like someone who is also fascinated by stories. Just as I am, and so like I guess it was only a matter of time before he came up with a storytelling event. Apart from that, he also does poetry.
Yes.
He is very active in the poetry events. Yeah, so I'm really glad he decided to do this thing because I feel like we really needed a storytelling event in Malaysia, and I feel an online version as well because at some point we would need one. And I think like I don't think there's any better person to put it together than him.
Oh, thank you, Sim. All right, so before we move on to the next person, just want to ask Sim, what are you doing right now?
what am I
Like-
doing right now?
Well, not right now. Right now, I know you're here right now.
right.
But what are your projects? What are you
Okay.
working on? Anything you want to plug?
Yeah, because now we are all stuck at home. I'm doing daily live streams, which is at 2 p.m. It's I think you already mentioned it. It was
Yes.
on my page. It's titled "Checking In on Funny People." Ayman was one of my first guests.
Yep.
So it's basically me checking in on all my comedian friends, locally as well as abroad, the ones that are closer to me. And so we just have a chat for like an hour or so, 2 p.m. every day. And that's on my Facebook page, facebook.com / Sim Tong Comedy.
Comedy, yes.
Yeah.
Facebook.com/Sim Tong Comedy. All right, thank you so much, Sim. I will be moving you out now.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Ayman.
Please.
Thanks, you guys.
Yep. Right. So that was our first storyteller. So hello, my name is Ayman. I am the person running this, and I spent the whole day setting this up, so I wasn't sure how things were gonna go. And in fact, I was still setting it up till about 5 minutes before we went live because of streaming issues. But storytelling is important. There are at least 2 predecessors to Spacewalk with me. One of them I am not very familiar with, but I did go like a couple of times. Was Big Fish, which was held at the B in Jayawan. It had, from what I remember, it had a pretty irregular schedule, hence why I didn't go so much. The second one, which ran for most of last year and a little bit of 2018, was Sweat Hearts, and I loved that the most. And I just wanted to bring that up because we have to know where we came from. All right, so coming up next, let me just set it up. This is a one-man operation, guys, so please bear with any switching by me. The next person, they are a simp and a quarter of the Jacket team. Quite sadly, former monthly open mic that platforms performers of multiple genres and disciplines. They also try to write poetry that reflect their experiences, identity, and values. And I met them at Jacket. Please welcome into your hearts the lovely Ammar. Hello?
Oh, can everybody hear me?
Yes. I
Yeah?
think can. But if there's any audio issues,
waiting-
please put it in chat.
Yeah, I'm waiting until like okay, super, I can see myself. Okay.
Yes.
Nice.
Cool. Alright, so whenever you're ready, just take it away. And if there's anyone who has issues with volumes or anything, just put it in chat and I will fix that as soon as possible. Take it away,
Yeah.
Ammar.
Yeah, so I hope you don't mind if I speak a bit before I do my piece. And I hope you don't mind me reading from a phone because my memory is bad and I'm still an amateur poet. So this piece is very personal. It's about my relationship and how I feel about the patriarch of my family, my grandfather, and it's gonna be a bit sad. I hope. I mean, I hope it's not too sad, but here it is. It's called Maybe I Do. The earliest memory that I have is not even mine. It was told to me by my parents. I was 2 years old in my maternal grandparents' home, waiting for my parents to come back from the hospital. When they arrived, I saw my grandfather carrying what I soon realized was my baby brother. He was newborn. I was no longer the only son, I realized. Of course, naturally, I started crying, fearful of the possibility that I was going to be replaced. Then came to my rescue a towering figure with a voice of fade gravel and calloused hands. I called him Ato. Ato. You see, because A-T-O-K is Ato, and that is what I call my grandfather on my mother's side. I call my grandfather on my dad's side Ato, A-T-U-K, so that's the difference. My parents told me that Ato took me out to town that day to soothe my crying. He took me out on his old Nissan Sunny. He drove me to the quiet town of Kapar, 10 minutes away from his home and about an hour away from any sort of civilization. and we got ice cream. And that was how I saw Ato. And as I grew up, I only saw him as a commanding presence, caring, loyal, hardworking, strong, simply tracing your fingers over his hands would tell you the most interesting stories. How he used to prank his teachers with shallots where he rubbed it on their chairs. So when a teacher wearing a skirt would sit down, they would itch. Or where he purposefully put explosives in the school aquarium to kill the fish out of spite for the prefects in the school for telling on him for being late, or how he was made to climb a coconut tree until he learned how to anyam a proper ketupat by his father, and how he would tell me stories of going on dates with this nurse carrying a parang on his bicycle, and that nurse is now my grandmother. They still have their love letters, and they're still there. They're still there in Kappa. He lives with my grandmother, my aunt, and 3 more grandchildren to love and to rescue. Not much has changed there in Kappa, except for his age, and the old Nissan had been sold off a couple of years back for a new car. Me while I take a water break, because excuse me, I'm thirsty. Not much has changed. I I did. I have. I'm no longer that 2-year-old boy. I'm no longer a boy, not even a man. I'm no longer Muslim as he is. No longer straight. No longer a lot of things. And recently I had a dream, a few months ago. I dreamt that I was in his living room. I was in his house, walking towards his living room. It felt like floating, but I could vividly smell the smells that I remember smelling in the same house, apart. I reached the living room, and the first person I saw in the living room was myself in the street. And behind me was my grandfather, my ato. It was lying down. And the other me, Ammar number 2, a bit darker, with sunken eyes and a sullen look on their face. And they said to me, so this is what you want. Look at him. Look at him. Look at him behind me. This is what you want. Look at him. He's dead. Look at him. You are free now. This is what you always wanted. You are free. His mortality is your liberation when your mortality is your prison. And he's dead now, and you can wear all your lipstick, you can wear all your jewelry, you can grow your hair out, you can paint your nails, you can love whoever you want, you can stop pretending to pray at home, you can be who you want to be. And this is it. You have been waiting for this. You know you want this. And then I woke up. Heart pounding, heart racing, eyes tearing up, because I don't want my ato to die. I don't wish that upon anyone, especially my flesh and blood. But as I was still hearing a voice of an alternate version of me in that dream, thought to myself, maybe I do. And that's my story.
Thank you, Ammar. Thank you.
Sorry for the break in the middle. My mouth got really dry.
Take whatever water breaks you want.
Yeah.
I might have taken 4 while you were talking. Do not worry about it. Thank you so much for your story, Ammar. Very personal story.
Yeah,
I
no
loved
problem.
it. I loved it so much. And based on the chat, it looks like everyone loves it too. So,
I hope so.
Yeah.
It's
so
only my second ever proper poem I wrote down. I was so scared of writing this poem down.
Well, how do you feel about it? How do you feel now that you've told the world?
I've only performed this. This is like my 3rd or 4th time performing it. I actually, the dream that happened was an actual dream, and I sat thinking about that dream for months. And I knew that it was supposed to be something. It was supposed to be something that I was going to write down, I was going to perform. I kept on delaying because I was so afraid of what it would imply upon myself once I have committed that into writing and performing it in front of people.
Yes.
And so it's been taking a lot of it's taken a lot of courage for me to actually perform it in front of people, because it is an admission of something, and there is also a degree of guilt
Yes.
that I still feel, just for existing.
Yeah. To admit that you have a horrible thought, maybe not this specific horrible thought, but
and any horrible thought. Yeah, that it came to me in a dream, and
Yes. Dream epiphanies.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how if any Freudians are in the chat. I don't know how they would interpret that.
Yeah. Well, thank you for the story. In terms moving on from horrible thoughts, let's think of a good thought. Ammar, you said
Yes.
that you had something to share with people on a project you're working on.
So I am a part of this online fundraising campaign called Untuk Kita. So you can look us up on Instagram at @forkita @for.kita. So what we do is basically we gamify a donation drive on Instagram, specifically on Instagram stories, where you can check us out. The rules are all there, the mechanics are all there. We explain everything that we're doing. All the donations go straight to 2 organizations that we're working with, which is the Lost Food Project. Yeah, the Lost Food Project that collect food and distribute it to people in need, and also Federasi Pekerja FKPB. Sorry, I'm messing up the initials. But they work with ex-convicts. They work with homeless people. They work with sex workers. They work with trans people, and they do provide a lot of aid to people in need right now. And successfully, I'm happy to announce that over the span of only 2 weeks, we have raised 9,000 ringgit. And we're planning on maybe going on another 2 weeks or 1 week to see how much we can raise more. So remember to look up Instagram at for.kita. You can join in. It's a really basic donate or dare challenge. You can donate and then DM us the receipts so we can tally it, or you do a dare and you tag people, and if those people cannot donate, they do the dare. If they do donate, also send us the receipt so we can tally it, and then those people will hopefully also tag other people and spread it around.
Social engineering at its finest, the best kind of social engineering. All right, thank you. Yes. All right, thank you.
Using corporations for our own good, I guess.
Yeah, that's what we all do. That's what we all like to do. Thank you so much for the story. Thank you so much for your charity
No
drive.
problem.
All right,
Thanks for having me.
Yes, I love. So we're gonna move on to the next person. All right. So I'm gonna get you out of here. Okay. Thank you so much for Umar for telling us that story. A wonderful story. And I'm so sorry, man. Every time I cough now, I'm so scared. I'm gonna have to wash my hands. Anyway, the next person coming up, right? They are a non-binary multi. Oh my god, I am messing this up. I'm no excuses. They are a non-binary multidisciplinary artist who merges poetry, visual arts, and theatre in her response to gender, sexuality, and race in Malaysia. She is someone who I've seen for so many years on stage, and I'm very glad to bring her back on. Please, everyone, welcome into your hearts. There's a slight delay because I'm waiting for her video to load on my screen. Please don't technical problems me now. No. She looks fine in the thumbnail, but she does not appear on my screen. Hello? Alright. Okay, you know what? We're just gonna go and do that whole intro again. Alright? The next person is a non-binary, multidisciplinary artist who merges poetry, visual arts, and theatre in her response to gender, sexuality, and race in Malaysia. One of the people that I've been following for such a long time. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome into your hearts, Vesha. Hold on. Vesha, you have not unmuted your audio. Please go to the bottom and click unmute. I'll talk a little bit about the setup I'm using later on. Have you done that, Vesha? Hello? Hold on, let me just look at your setup. So can anyone hear Vesha? We can all see Vesha, that one I'm sure of it, but can anyone hear Vesha? Vesha, what are you? Are you on your phone or are you on a computer? Computer? Okay. I think your microphone broke. Does your computer have a mic of some sort, an internal microphone? Okay, so just so everyone knows, even though we're all very kelam kabut and huru-hara, I definitely checked with everyone's voices before we came online. And you could have heard my voice also just before I switched to the actual stream. Dinesha says, Vesha, you should turn your story into charades. I don't know how good this is, but that is an idea that I'm willing to take. Okay, Vesha, we're gonna do a tutorial now. Are you on a Mac or PC first? Mac. Okay. I don't know how to troubleshoot Macs. All right. You know what? How about this? Vesha is definitely not muted, right? Yeah, she's definitely not muted. Okay. So in light of this, oh no, what happened to Vesha? Vesha is completely. Hello. Nope, can't hear you. I definitely heard you about 30 minutes by an hour ago. So sorry, Vesha. You know what? I think we're just gonna have to move on from you for now. Could you use this time to please Google how to change the sound setting, or if Mac can do it? I'll put you way later on to the end, okay? So sorry about that. Yeah, for sure. Oh wait, hold on. Before I move on, Jack says try unplugging the whole thing. See if that works. Unplugging the heads. No, unplug the earphones completely. Use the computer's the laptop's internal mic. Just unplug. Hello? 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 Wow, Dinesha. Wow. Wow. Yeah. Oh, where did Vesha go? Well, this has been fun. Okay, you know what? Since I don't know where she went, I assume to troubleshoot, so we'll move on for now. Okay, so next, what in the world? I can still see. Oh, she went to take a second. I should have kept the screen on. She went to take a second thing, and she just swooped right into frame. Hello. Vesha, I have this strange feeling you're muted. On your laptop, your setting is muted somehow. Yes, this is part of the story now, I guess. I cannot hear you. You are not muted on the conferencing. Okay, Vesha. Sorry, Vesha. We can't take too long about this. I like the AFI setup that you're doing now, but we can't take too long about this. So we'll move on first. Hopefully, she can rejoin us at with a working setup. So the next person is, let's see. So the next person, right, does stand up, spoken word, and occasionally sings. So they are pretty much the closest to me, except everyone who's heard me sing says that I can't. Okay, so regardless of what they are performing, they strive to be a performer who gets real, talking about issues considered taboo in the Asian society. Alright, they've also identified to us, before I bring them on, I would like everyone to know that the next storyteller has said that they would like us to introduce a content warning for the next story, because the next story will contain elements of abuse and mental illness. With that said, please bring very dear friend of mine. Let us welcome. Hold on, where are you? Please come on. No. Alright, hold on. Right, please, everyone, welcome to your hearts, Juliana. Oops. Hello, Juliana.
Hello.
Can we hear?
you see me?
Yes, we can see you and we can hear you.
See me?
Yes. Oh, so
Okay,
before you start your
perfect.
story,
So,
I think I heard Vesha come back and say hello, and then she muted herself. So we're going to Vesha next.
okay. Then so
Hopefully.
what
Yeah.
Okay.
That's all. No, that's all.
All
You
right.
are storytelling now. Go for it. Take it away, Juliana.
All right. Thank you, Ayman. Hey, everyone. I'm Juliana. I grew up in a dysfunctional family. Would you guys like to hear about them? My dad suffers from depression. He had a difficult time at work in the civil service due to wish politics. He was passed over for promotion multiple times and felt empty. And I can understand how someone in that circumstance can feel empty. After work, he went home to an empty marriage. Now, let me tell you about my mom. She is a narcissistic, manipulative, and emotionally abusive woman. She wants her way, and no one can be better than her. I know it sounds like I'm being bitter, but hear me out. I never realized this until I was much older and started having independent thoughts. I used to work as an auditor who earns well to me. You cannot have so much money in your bank account. Later, people rob you and force you to withdraw everything. Just keep 1K. I will keep the rest for you in our joint account. Yep, my mom forced me to have a joint account. Can you guess what's going to happen? One night, Dad told me that Mom tried to stab him with the car key. I confronted her on this matter. She said, even if I kill him, I have proof that he is insane and tried to attack me. It will be considered self-protection. Let's move on to my younger brother. At work, he is a yes man. At home, he is a monster. He is hot-tempered and physically abusive. He threw house keys at my face. Thank God I wear specs that time. If not, I could be blinded. One time, my dad was discussing with him about contributing some money for his portion of the phone bill. He then said, "Why should I? It's not that much to begin with. I have plans, you know." And then it escalated, and my brother clenched his fist, wanting to punch my dad. When I stepped in, he then punched me on my dominant arm. I have to wear long sleeve shirts for a month. I always lock my bedroom door as I no longer feel safe in that house. Every day, I live in fear and trepidation. One day, I decided that enough is enough. And that one day was 3 years ago. I summoned all the courage I had and walked out of my abusive household, behind and starting ground zero. As an overprotected child, I have been conditioned by my mom. The world is a scary place. No one loves you except me. Go, leave the house. One day I will read the newspaper and come to know you've been raped and killed or died in a nasty accident. I tried to get back my savings from her, but she refused and said, "You have been an embarrassment to me. The money will be used to compensate my face." I was filled with anger and sadness. I left home not knowing anything and need to start relearning about life. I have a driving license and a car, but I don't drive. When my friend Ron offered me his condo, he said, "Juliana, I got a place for you, just that you need to drive to Serdang."
Yeah.
I was like, huh? Where the hell is Serdang? Is it a place with a lot of cow dung? Ron came to my home to guide me how to drive to the new place in Serdang. I have directional dyslexia. I cannot differentiate between left and right. Because I don't drive, even if it's a straight road, I might die. I reached a road that goes straight ahead with an exit on the left and a wall on the right. The GPS said, "Turn left." Now, my brain immediately thinks right, but I can see the road ahead has no right. Logically, I shouldn't and cannot turn right. But growing up in a family, as you can tell, I'm trained to take instructions. So I turned right, almost killing a friend. Thank God Ron pulled the handbrake. When we arrived at Serdang, I broke down and cried. And I said something I can't believe I said. "I left home with nothing. Like Lee Kuan Yew left Malaysia with nothing." It was so silly, I know, but so true, right? I was consumed by confusion, worthlessness, and loneliness to the point I contemplated suicide. The only thing that stopped me was my dad. I don't mean physically, because I had left the house. I hardly see him anymore. But what I meant is every time I have suicidal thoughts, Dad's face will appear. I can't leave him behind. My biggest mission is to bring my dad out of the abusive household when I achieve income stability. I want him to enjoy his golden years happy and healthy. The new place in Serdang is super far from where I used to live, which is PJ. I have no choice but to quickly relearn driving. I have no money. 1 week later, I became a Grab driver. I'm not joking. When I set my mind, I can do wonders. Today, I'm whipping in and out of street within Klang Valley, calling people from all walks of life. After being my mom's shadow for decades, I don't even know who I am. I was programmed to think that my mission is to fulfill my mom's unachieved dreams and desires. Study hard, get good grades, get a good job as an accountant in Big Four firm. After 3 years, quit and join a big conglomerate like YTL. Target a dato and marry into crazy rich Asian family. When I left home, things started to get clearer. The world is not as scary as my mom depicted, and there are people who genuinely cares. Just that I have to learn to trust instead of being afraid and skeptical all the time. One thing I know, I love bringing joy to people. I used to work as an auditor. It is a stable job with good pay, but can be suffocating as I find it hard to sit still and focus. I knew I'm not giving my 100% in this job. I have to suppress myself to fit into the rigid corporate setting. Instead of staying on as a depressed accountant, feeling empty at work, I decided to come out from job I can no longer find joy in and pursue my dream as a stand-up comedian, bringing joy and laughter to people who needs it. Recently, I came out as gender fluid non-binary, which means I felt like a woman on some days and a bang on some days, both or even none at times. I have been feeling this way since then, but just don't have a word for it. I started to express myself as both man and woman when I started work. My boss called me out on this. Juliana, I know you can't sit still and focus on your job. Can you at least focus on one gender? The truth is, I can't. It's too limiting. When I was a child, I was curious to find out what type of girl I am. I did a quiz. That was way before Friendster and Facebook. I did the quiz on Kuntom magazine. There are two sets of quiz, one for the girl, another for the boy. I did the girls one, tallied the scores, and got boyish girl. I can't help but do the boys quiz too. The answer I got is a feminine boy. I'm 50-50. I kind of don't know why I don't fit anywhere. Girls find me too loud, while boys find me a bit fluffy. I'm in between both genders. I only found out about the word gender fluid and find to a few friends about how I felt. That opens up a whole new world for me. I always thought that I'm weird and don't deserve to love or receive love. I tried to be straight, but it's hard. So I decided to embrace myself as who I am. Some people actually thought that I came out as a joke, since I do stand-up comedy anyway. A joke? To come out in Asian society is a huge risk. I'm flooded with questions as no one knows what the hell is gender fluid. I may need to come out with a TED talk so I don't need to repeat myself like a tape recorder. The reason why I came out is to free myself from the invisible chains that holds me back from accepting myself and give myself the chance to love genuinely. I want to move on with life, being authentic. The thing about coming out is I no longer felt invisible. Also, ironically, guys actually started hitting on me. Some of them asked, do I and my brothers still have a chance with you? To that, my answer is, depends on your face. I realized that by being your real self, you actually become attractive because of the courage to be who you are instead of hiding under the safety blanket of conformity. But courage doesn't come overnight. I started off being fearful, doubtful, and worried. By taking baby steps one day at a time, I became braver every day. So, for everyone here, if you have been wanting to come out from the job you no longer love, or come out from the abusive relationship you are currently in, or you just want to come out as your real self, the question is, why not? I've done it. It's not free of challenges, but it's surely liberating. Give yourself the gift of knowing what it's like to live as your true self and love as who you are. So, what will happen to Juliana from now on? I have no idea. But all I know is I have found the courage to go on no matter what. I hope you find it too. Thank you.
Yay! Thank you, Juliana. Thank you. Thank you for your story. Have you been telling that story a lot, Juliana?
A few times.
A few times, right? Yes. I feel like you've been building up to this story. I feel like actually you've been, personally, as someone, a fellow performer who watches you, you've been slowly building up your how do I say this? Your bread and butter stories, the ones you always tell, the jokes you always tell. And it's nice to see it built over the years, over the 1 year. Thank you. Thank you so much, Juliana. Juliana, I do, before you go, we do need to talk about who you are online. So, is there any social media accounts you want people to follow?
Sure. You can follow Juliana Heng. That is my personal account.
Mm-hmm. On Facebook?
And yeah, Facebook, that's like you can be my friend. Yeah.
Yes. We can all be her friend. Your friend, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And Quirky Juliana. That is my Facebook page.
Yes.
And one more thing is Instagram, which is quirky_Juliana. And YouTube will be Juliana Heng. Yeah, that's all.
All right, but that's not all. Thank actually. You. Before we go, you have one more thing actually, because it popped up on my timeline earlier. You didn't put it in the sign up form, but you are running a show very very soon.
Oh,
Yes,
okay.
yes. I'm trying to help promo you.
Yes.
Okay, so tell me about the show.
Thank
What show is
you.
this? What show is that? When's the show?
Okay, the show is actually I Love KL's online open mic is on this Monday,
This coming Monday, 2 days.
8:30 p.m. on correct. I Love KL Facebook Live.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much. That was Juliana, everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. All right.
Thank you.
And with that being done, we have technically introduced the next person, who is the person before Juliana. I'm gonna put her on. Can you say something? Can you say? Yeah.
Hello.
Hello? Can you hear them? Can you hear?
Hello.
All right. Okay, cool. Now, for purposes of video archival and record, I've done it twice, and we're gonna go through your intro a third time so that it can be one continuous clip. Okay?
Oh my god, I'm sorry. But yes.
All right. Cool. Okay, so hold on. Let me just pull up your intro again. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, the next person is a non-binary, multidisciplinary artist who merges poetry, visual arts, and theatre in her responses to gender, sexuality, and race in Malaysia. Everyone, please welcome into your hearts the lovely Vesha!
Hi. Please tell me you can hear me now.
Yes, we
Can
can
you
hear
hear
you.
me?
We can hear you.
Yes. Okay, cool. So sorry about that. Port Dickson Wi-Fi isn't the best. So it's kind of ratchet. The reason why on my actually no, I should not be using the word ratchet. Just learned that it's actually not. It's a word that is specific to the experiences of Black communities. I really need to unlearn that, but learning is a continuous process. To explain what's happening here, I am outside my apartment because here is the best signal. So we're working with it. Okay, cool. Before I start my story, disclosure, I am a coconut, which means that I am brown on the outside, white on the inside, which is also another way to say that I cannot speak Tamil to save my life, but can speak it very well if I need to get away from a creepy guy at the club. So here's my story. Okay, also this is pre MCO lah. Okay. Because my favorite hairdresser was closed, so my only option was this Malay barber and an Indian barber, and they were right next to each other. Usually I go to either a Malay or a Chinese barber because someone like me going to an Indian barber is dangerous territory. I'm non-binary, but I am presenting, and frankly, if you are just not a cishet man, nah, right? But to get to the Malay barber, I have to walk past the Indian barber, and to add to the betrayal that I was committing, sat two uncles, and I mean like uncle lah, white singlet, wearing like lungi, the whole thing, and they are just staring at me. Just stare as I walk past, and I didn't have to say anything. They knew that I was going to the Malay barber. And, I'm thinking, I'm an independent person. I have the right to choose. So I muster my inner Rani and made no eye contact and just walked to the Malay barber shop, opened the door, and there's this young guy in the middle of shaving this other guy's head, and he looks up at me and he just kind of freezes a little, and he just goes like, yeah, nak apa? And I'm like, oh, nak buat nombor dua boleh? And then silence. And then he goes, oh, sorry ya kak, saya tak boleh potong rambut perempuan. And okay, side note, this happened when I still identified as a woman. And who would have thunk that the only time a person would actually get my gender right was when I was being denied of something for having said gender, but it's fine. Anyway, he says, oh, saya tak boleh potong rambut perempuan. And I'm like, okay, ada orang yang boleh potong tak? And he was hesitant. And he goes like, oh, ya ada kawan tapi dia keluar sekarang. And I'm like, okay, boleh saya tunggu tak? And the thing is, like, I already knew the answer to this, but I'm not going to do the walk of shame back to the Indian barber, like, what am I going to say when the uncle asked what I was expecting when I went there in the first place? Okay, because number one, I've had really good experience with Malay barbers, and two, clearly I have some internalized trauma about cis-het Indian men from my personal family history, which is probably why there are all these toxic behaviors that I've internalized, which I'm constantly trying to break down so that I may be more present and loving in my relationships. But also, more importantly, I do not know how to say any of these things in Tamil to him. So try not to, right? But either way, he reluctantly says no, and I'm like, okay. So I U-turn, I do the walk of shame, right? Pass by the two uncles and they continue to stare. And then once I get in, this is when the biggest challenge happens, right? Because I have to tell the barber what I want to do with my hair. Right, so the entire time I'm trying to like muster every bit of Tamil that I know. I'm like counting down like numbers and one and I'm like, hey, can I go all the way up to 10? I'm thinking about the Tamil that I learned in kindergarten, all the Tamil I spoke with my grandmother, which wasn't really Tamil. It was like Tamil, English, Malay, fusion, something. Very one Malaysia though. But yeah, and I'm just like thinking like, I'm praying, and I do not know what it was. Maybe it was Mariamman, because she was nicely framed on the top of like the mirror. Maybe it was Mariamman. Maybe my ancestors used to pity in me. When the barber asked what I wanted, I looked Pinala Muna. Where the fuck that came from, right? Very fast, he looked at me, he nodded, he moved, like ushered me to the chair. I sat down and I was just like, okay, that wasn't too bad. Right, and like I just kept thinking, when I sat there, like about my coconutness, and how it relates to this barbershop, because this barbershop is quite new, but it was designed like how all Indian barbershops would have been, like nothing has changed. It's a huge mirror that stretches from one corner to the other. It's a wooden table, there's all the brushes, the chair, the oils. It's always very spare. It's like the design itself is a relic. Here I am cutting my hair in a place where my forefathers cut their hair. I mean, not literally, but in spirit, And like I'm just like trying to keep it cool, given that I just passed for like speaking Tamil, and I'm like just seeing them like, yeah, this is completely natural. I am completely natural, right? And then he asked me if I am working or if I'm studying. Normally, I would say I am studying. I said padiki because I do not know how to say I'm working in Tamil, but also because it's just a lot to say. And then the only question they would ever ask you, if you do say that you study, is where you study, of which I can just say KL and it's done. Which he did ask and I said it was KL and it was that, right? And yeah, and so like I'm sitting there, and I'm thinking like, actually, it's kind of ironic. It's kind of ironic that as someone who does a lot of work with identity, who does a lot of work about uncovering my family history, uncovering my queer identity, that I cannot speak the very language that actually holds it. And it was intentional. My parents taught me that if we ever learned Tamil, if my sisters and I learned how to speak it, then we would mix with the other Tamil kids in the neighborhood, and that would mean we would be sent back to the estates. Like, speaking Tamil was a sign of privilege and class. And also an erasure. Language is access, language is history. And to uncover all that history, you could say that maybe my entire life's work is to kind of compensate for that loss of belonging, right? And so I'm just like, I'm sitting there thinking about this, and that's when the barber starts putting the oil, right? And so for those of you who have gone to an Indian barber, they have the Ayurvedic treatment, right? And the thing is, I always thought, like, I thought you would have to, if you were to request for it, then only they'll do it to you. Also because at the time that I identify as a woman, that he wouldn't actually do it for me. But here he was, like, he started putting this oil, and strangely felt really safe. For the first time, I felt like I actually was meant to be here. I was rooted. I felt grounded and present. Um, and like in this wondrous moment of peace and feeling, he grabs my head, yanks it to one side, yanks it to the other. I swear to God, you know that scene like from Black Panther, you know when he like goes into heaven and there's all like these stars and then he like sees his like dead father and shit like that. I swear to God, I like went there, I saw my grandfather, I saw my grandmother, they're all like staring at me and they're like, Vesha, say these words. And I turned to the barber and I said, Uncle, Yevelo, and he tells me 20, I give him the money and I walk out as if like I am a full-fledged Indian, brown on the outside, brown on the inside, no doubt about it. And that was the first time I felt like an Indian. That was the one time and it never happened ever again. But yeah, that's my story. Yeah. Like I've not gone back to the barber shop actually since then. It's too much to do, you know. To tell you the truth, to even prepare for this, to retell the story to you guys, I needed to spend I had to spend a good half hour trying to remember all the Tamil words I said from that day, which took a while. But you know, coconut things, first world coconut things. But yeah, here you go. That's it.
Thank you so much for taking the time to rememorize a language. That's always fun.
I know, for entertainment, right? Fuck.
Yes.
If it was worth something important,
Yeah.
I meant. If you like actually, like for my benefit, right? If I could just sit down and be like, Visha, this is for your own good, and learn this damn language. But oh well,
Oh wow. Well, so that was an excellent story. Thank you so much. We've got some comments. My favorite comment so far of the stories that just came in is now by Fiona. Thank you, Fiona, for coming in. Now, I want to go to an Indian barber too. That's it. Yes.
Serious.
Yes.
Yo, they're great. They're great.
Yes.
They're great.
All right. Thank you.
The
Before
one in TTDI is great.
the one in TTDI, yeah.
Yeah, the one in TTDI is great.
Do you
if
know
you're ever down in
where?
TTD, then you can
Which part of TTDI?
It's
There's more than one.
behind Five Arts,
Behind
where,
Five,
like Omar
Jalan Datuk Sulaiman
Ali
ish.
Boutique. It's that row.
Oh, Omar Ali Boutique. Oh, okay, yeah, Omar Ali Boutique, which is very near Quartet and Thursday. That row, right? Omar Ali, right? Yes.
Yes.
That set of shop lots.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
cool.
yes.
On the Thursday row, I believe.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much, Vesha. Of course, we need to plug some stuff if you would like to. Any Instagram accounts, any links to share, maybe?
Oh yes, of course. You can follow me on Instagram at Veshalini Naidu. Same also on Twitter. My website is in the link in the bio, always open for collaborations and commissions. I am also, speaking of projects and uncovering history, I also have a project called Roja, which is dedicated to archiving Malaysian Indian women's. And we have a Google form available, so if you have a story that you want to share, please get in touch with us, share your story, and hopefully when this MCO is over, we can pick things up again. We currently have an installation called Roja Weaving a Women's, which features the saris that we've collected from the women that we had interviewed, and including transcripts as well. And we would really love to hear from the Malaysian Indian women's community.
Okay,
So,
just want to catch you for a quick question. Before you said we currently have an installation. So what happens during MCO? Is it available for viewing? Is it just there and no one can see it, or can people just go in? Is it essential?
Well, unfortunately, no. Identity is not essential. But
Curses. All right. Yeah.
but it's not. I mean, so it was up, and this was end of last year, and then when the exhibition, Banana Leaf exhibition, had finished, then the installation also had finished. So we don't have it available for viewing, but we've archived it quite well from the very first exhibition, so you can see the pictures. But at the moment, we're trying to figure out a way to actually make it into an online installation, some way that it can continue to exist regardless. Hence the stories and collection of stories would be wonderful, and we can actually really start piecing these things together. And hopefully once MCO is over and we can pull out funding and find ways to actually start touring it, I think that would be really, really cool.
All right, cool. Thank you, Vesha. Thank you so much for your time and for all the effort you've put into your story again. Okay, so let's see. I would like to. We are officially over the halfway mark. There are 7 people who signed up to tell a story tonight, and so I thought I'd just scroll by and just look through all the comments. Azizan, Afi boy, another poet in the scene, asked, if nobody's visiting the installation, is it actually there? The answer is yes. The answer is definitely yes, Afi. Even though the comment section seems to move on without me. I also saw that apparently Ricky and Wei Liang was online just now. I don't know if they still are on, but I was told that. So Singapore, hello, welcome. They are performers from Singapore. Excellent performers. A lot of the comments is by the local scene, of course. Ammar is in the comment. Dinesha, one of the premier poets in town, talking a lot. Dabita is here too. Oh, Sarah, my friend Sarah is also here. Hello, Sarah. Hi, how are you? All right. I'm just catching up with the comments. I'm getting used to this whole being in control thing. The next person, the next story coming up, the next storyteller coming up, has written a massive bio. I really regret putting in the form that you can make an intro as long as you want. But we are going to go through all of it. So just to be fair, alright? So let me just set it up. Okay, cool. So the next person is a lit major writer, performer, teacher, and organizer. Please guess who it is if you know. Lit major writer, performer, teacher, and organizer. He is based in Klang Valley, collaborating and performing spoken word. Accomplishments are, number 1, Slam champ at the Straight Slam. Which year? Not sure, not mentioned. We can ask that later. Number 2, top 6 in Malaysia's first National Poetry Slam, which happened, if I recall correctly, in 2018. Number 3, works published in 2 notable publications from English Jur and Skinny Walls. He's also working with a group of poets to develop Balo, a poetry debate format for spoken word poets, a reply to Babala's Pantun running parallels with Balaktasan. I don't know what that is, but maybe you do. Maybe, well, we'll see what that is, right? Balaktasan, Balagtasan. He prefers performing chaos-based spoken word and improvising with musicians, dancers, and other makhluk seni, and is now curating spoken word shows for various cases and organizations. Through makhluk seni, well, which he doesn't mention that he is, he curated a group of people together in a group called Makhluk Seni. Through Makhluk Seni, he hopes to share the maker spirit and to have everyone celebrate each other's art. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome into your hearts the lovely Umar Azizi. Umar, you are on.
Hello. Sound check. Able to hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Hello. That's better. That is good.
Alright. So, oh my gosh, I sent the intro expecting
before you move on, do not lean back. Do not lean back.
Okay, hold on. Alright.
This is a volume issue. Yeah, just don't lean back.
Okay.
Yes.
Is this better?
Yes, that's good. Thank you. That's good enough.
Alright.
Thank you. Take it away, Omar.
I sent in the intro fully expecting you probably might go through maybe a few lines, but you read the whole thing. Whoa. Okay. Thanks. Balaktasan is a Philippine-based debate poetry style. It is in celebration of a writer there. Makhluk Seni is a group of artists who collab together and share open spaces for others. One of our previous events was art/performance thing, which I won't get into so much. I'm just going to jump to the story. So this story, I usually do poetry about my grandmother, talk about my mom, about dads who aren't really there, about having the worst hair for haircuts in general. I've only had really like 2 days of like a decent haircut in my life. So I stopped trying. This one, however, is about my aunt. It happens in Ramadan. So in Ramadan, my aunt comes over to my grandma's house. I live with my grandma, and she prepares for us buka puasa, the meal in which we break our fast. See, my aunt is an amazing home cook. She has spoiled for me ever eating lasagna at any cafe. She makes it like this, and this is where the cafes are at. Like there's a distance. But she really likes to make simple dishes, and she does them so well that you can't really get them anywhere else. These are like regular dishes, like ikan goreng kunyit with pecel and nasi putih gebu, which she makes like it's available everywhere. But once you have had hers, once you've had whatever her meals, nowhere else really compares. Like it's always just a little bit different, and it's because she puts notice in the small details. So she recently had her blood taken, and she was complaining that the hospital was asking her to do it, was asking her to do a lot of things, like, okay, can you move here? Can you please fold your sleeves? Can you open up your arm, please? And then squeeze this, and then cucuk, and then they put it again, and then again, and again. And she was like, kalau macam ini, hujung ambil darah saya, habis lengan saya macam sebuah bongkah cheese. And I'm like, oh, okay. So she's annoyed. So like me being the Mithali punya nephew, does his best to lighten the mood. So she's complaining about all this, and I go, Cete, sebenarnya kan ada sebab tau hospital nak darah banyak. Really, Umar? What might that be? Vampires. And my aunt goes like, merepek apa Umar ni? Hear me out. So Malaysia has a vibrant vampire community that has fully integrated with our society. It started a long time ago. A long time ago. Hang Tuah pergi meresik for the Sultan of Malacca. Umar, my aunt goes, we all know this story already, Umar. My grandma goes, Umar makan. Prepek je kerja. And I go, yeah. Hear me first, yeah? Okay. My aunt goes, okay, cakap. We all know about the requests. The hantaran, Puteri Gunung Lidang requested kan, a lot of people sum it up to be an example of bahasa halus. The whole Jambatan Emas, Jantung Kuman, and even Darah Anak Sultan, bahasa Melayu memang halus. Dan pelbagai translations can be derived from our stories. Our tradisi, lisan isn't perfect. And sometimes people change the things we say. Sebenarnya, Darah Anak Sultan tu maksudnya, if she gets to marry the Sultan, she wants a child with him. Supaya anak saya berdarah Sultan. It's a play on words. She wasn't okay with being the concubine. She didn't want to be just another wife. She wanted darah daging or relativeness status. Kerabat keluarga diraja? Yeah, something like that. Which is only given and publicly accepted if she bears him a child. Backstory to this, the Sultan has a problem with making children, but that's a whole different story. Okay, so ni pasal hantaran 7 dulang hati nyamuk. Some records say it's actually 7 dulang hati penghisap darah. And do you know what else is darah? Vampires. Vampires suck blood. Puteri Gunung Lidang was a subspecies of orang bunian, the royal line. Yes, so you don't put them in the same category of like apa tu Dobby House Elf tapi Melayu version kira-kira guli-guli. That kind lah. Cerita is like apa tu? Again, never mind. As I was saying, Puteri Gunung Lidang got our boy running around trying to hunt down these elusive creatures until one day he met his match. Mid-fight with a group of young vampire suspects, because they weren't sure, like, how do you tell if a vampire or not? A hooded figure came out of nowhere and attacked. The fighting grew fierce. Silat, cucuk. Elak ke kiri, elak ke kanan. With each clash of a weapon, Chris against something. Oh no! The hooded figure. Hang Tuah, I heard you were looking for us. Hang Tuah goes, dah tahu. Aku cari apa salah lari. The hooded figure, tanpa salah maupun santai, kau ingat kami gila, mati tanpa nilai. Hang Tuah goes, dah dipesan bakal teman Sultan. 7 dulang penghisap darah ku kumpulkan, dan kamu semua penghisap darah yang kejam. The hooded figure goes, kami hanya mengisap darah bekam, darah haiwan. Besides, how many dulangs have you already got? Hang Tuah goes, none. Nampaknya sampaiku sudah tak ke mana, tak mampu akan ku capai hasratnya Sultan Melaka. The hooded figure goes, perhaps I may help. Hang Tuah pauses for a moment, unsure what kind of deal he's making with maybe demon or devil. Hang Tuah goes, why would you help me? Both figures stood face to face, weapons drawn and ready, but no longer specking one another, just posing in like really, really cool poses. The hooded figure turns her face to no one in particular and de-hoods herself. Shh. My name is Putri Ana. Stands for the one, as in I. Warrior princess of the vampire clans of the Malaysian Straits. Hang Tuah goes, a pleasure to meet you. Now, if Hang Tuah thought, oh damn, when first meeting Putri Gunoledang, what he thought when first laying eyes on the Putri of the vampires was a whole different level. Like if you watch the movie, a whole song went out. This one, like, so she's just standing there after like showing off that kind of move. So Putri Ana, the vampire warrior princess, is kind of redundant because all princesses of vampire lineage are kind of already warriors. Pontianas being messy-haired and scary, it's for a reason. We know this as our culture because they were scary fighters employed by the sultans during times of war and fought guerrilla styles in the forest. So that's why you never go in the forest without minta izin. Like minta izin, tumpang lalu, all that. You had to ask permission from these people, causing massive delays and general avoidance of the woods. To respect them, I'll refer to Putri as Putri Ana because she's badass and deserves that kind of respect. Putri Ana goes, kata-kata Putri Gunoledang masih boleh dibicarakan kerana yang dipinta 7 dulang hati pengisap darah. Dan siapa lagi mengisap darah jika bukan Hang Tuah menyampuk? Nyamuk! Putri Ana, jangan potong cakap aku. Buat lagi aku potong lidah kamu. Hang Tuah goes, okay. Boleh macam ni. Tapi mana mungkin saya bisa kumpul 7 dulang hati nyamuk? Macam mana? Now, Hang Tuah didn't know it at the time, but the vampire clans of Malaysia are experts at the art of cutting, from bekas services to on-scene raya melapah kerbau tumbang to even conversations. Putri Ana brought together the best vampires and prepared 7 dulang hati nyamuk, and even cultivated the 7 dulang of hati kuman that was needed. Hang Tuah dan brought them to the Putri Gunoledang for inspection. Putri Gunoledang, boy Hang Tuah, anak bertuah ni. Hang Tuah, anak? I'll have you know I'm a full-grown. Putri Gunoledang goes, anak aku lagi tua dari kau, diam sekejap. Hang Tuah goes, okay. Putri Gunoledang inspects the items. You sneaky bastard. Aku minta 7. Hang Tuah reply, 7 dulang pengisap darah? 7 dulang pengisap darah. Orang panggil Hang Tuah ni bersebab nampaknya. Okay, fine. Nampaknya si Putri Ana tu dah racun fikiranmu. Tak apa, saya terima. Tapi aku sumpah. Hang Tuah goes, sumpah? Tan, tan, tan. Indonesia zoom up. Putri Gunoledang, ya aku sumpah segala keturunan Putri Ana jika kalau mahukan darah setiap nyawa dia, ambil senyawa juga perlu dia selamat. And so it goes. The vampires, for every life they took or blood spilled in their name, they have to save another. Now luckily again, like I said, many vampires were well versed with the art of cutting and also the human body and had long been practicing medicine. I mean, how else are you going to like farm blood freely? So they got together and opened hospitals, clinics, and even house visits often. Putri Ana was even fierce in her pursuance of peace and safety wherever she went. And soon, even the children would call out to her, Putri Ana, Putri Ana. And wars come and go, and white people come over to Malaysia to try and document all this, and they write it down and get it wrong because that's what they do. And they put down Putri Ana and misspell it as Pontiana. And thus we have this definition of Pontiana, which is a fighter class warrior princesses whom suck blood. My aunt goes, yalah Ammar, dah makan. Sibuk merepek je. And I pun makan. And that's it. Thank you for listening to a story about my meal with my aunt. That's my story. Thank you.
Yes, of course. Thank you, Umar. Thank you for that great, very historical, how much of the myth that you wove into it, how much of it is, how would we say canon? Like, how much is that correct? Was it all of it?
I would say 70.
About 70%. Yeah.
Yeah, because there is a few written scriptures of that the Pontianaks are felled warriors. Some say they were never felled, but other warriors took over another person's name and carried it on.
Yes. Okay. I also like the concept of Pontiana or vampires being they have to pay it forward. Apparently, you gotta like.
Yeah, you don't want to like be cheeky lah with orang punya ni. They hold words to a point. I mean, how else do you explain Langkawi being cursed for 7 generations?
Right. Okay. Sorry, I'm a bit distracted, but our cat Alice has woken up. Alice is the cat of myself and Melissa, and she has just woken up. She's been awake the whole time. She just didn't care until now. Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much for that story, Umar. Umar, I do have a question for you. A very specific question based on the sign-up form. My question is, what happened to the original story you pitched me? Because what you wrote in your sign-up form was getting thrown off a horse, and what's that got to do with cooking sambal?
I think I kind of edited it out in the second rendition.
Alright, let's go. Whatever. Let's go. I'm just
I'm
curious.
sorry, man. But just to clear the air, the horse comes into play because it's about finding out how.
Don't spoil.
Oh,
That can be the next edition. I'm just wondering, is this the same story somehow? That's my question. Show Alice.
Within the same story, but.
Alright, cool. Hold on. Let me just show Alice. Hold on. I need to switch off my virtual background here. You're gonna see my messy room, guys. Alice, come. Alice. Oh, hold on. Okay. Sorry. Alice. Hi. Hello. If you can see how much of a mess the room is, that's why I'm using a virtual background. Alice, come look here. Say hello to everyone. Say hello. Hello. Is it Pat's time? It's Pat's time. Okay. All right. So I'll be doing this off camera. Yes. There we go. That's Alice. Thank you so much, Umar. Do you have anything you want to plug?
After CMO is over, please feel free to visit Creator Space. It's a space for creators and any other people in the arts who want to do stuff. Hopefully, COVID-19 will be down by then. I mean, hope so. If not,
COVID-19. The entirety of COVID-19 will be down by then. Yes, that is what I want. All gone, wiped out, complete. Don't come back until you're at least 20. Right. No, I mean COVID-19 becomes COVID. Never mind. Alright, cool. Thank you so much, Umar. Thank you. Okay, yes. I feel like we learned a lot during that one. That was the most educational story so far, assuming his assessment of 70% was correct. I'm sure Alice is more popular than myself. Sorry, Alice speaks the better language, cat language, so you're stuck with me for the rest of the show. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, the next person, before I introduce, let me just pull up the information. The next person coming up is a personal friend of mine. She's the only person that I actually directly reached out to and asked, hey, would you like to tell a story? She's not the only person, sorry, but she was the first person I thought of because everyone you've seen so far has been a performer of some sort. And it's sort of course, you're in the performer circles, everyone comes in, everyone's a performer. Which is not to say that the next person cannot perform, but she is not normally found in those scenes. Her introduction, she writes that she shares her journey of how she's healing through her autoimmune disease on her Instagram, @MalGetsFit. To connect with and inspire other people in the same shoes as her. For her day job, she helps businesses sell their services online through content. She's a wonderful friend of mine. I wish we caught up more often, especially face to face, but this will do for now. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome into your hearts Malati. Hold on.
Hi.
Yes, there you are. Hello. All right, you're on now.
Hello.
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you, Aiman. So just like what Aiman shared, I don't usually perform. This is kind of the first time that I'm trying it. But you know what? Aiman asked me and I thought, why not? I think Sim mentioned earlier, it's something about doing rather than being. And I learned that a lot from Aiman actually. Like he said that I want to start this. I don't know how, but I'll figure it out anyway. So I thought, okay, and he did it. And so I have been writing throughout my career. I was a journalist, and then I went in content marketing. But I have never really written fiction. The last I wrote fiction was, I think, 10 years ago, back in university. So I'm going to share with you guys something that I came up with, something which I thought about yesterday, and I started writing about it today. So I'm going to share it now. Okay. So it was the kind of morning that you hope fell on a Sunday, where your alarm is the gentle patter of raindrops against your windowsill, and all you feel is the cooling breeze enveloping you like a blanket that you didn't know you needed. That was the kind of morning Lena had. Unfortunately, it fell on a Monday. So while she wanted to snuggle back into her sheets, which she technically could because she was working from home and all she needed to do was turn off video on her Zoom, she was the kind of person who would be fully dressed, ready to go with her headphone mic at meetings. Oh, and she always had her video on. So she rolled out of bed, popped a capsule in her coffee maker, cracked open 2 farm fresh eggs, and took out her overnight oats. She was tempted to take a bite, but eating before brushing her teeth was a big no-no. Scooping out the eggs into her sky blue bowl, she laid them out meticulously on her breakfast table. The coffee always goes on the right-hand corner, eggs and oats paired together in the center, and her army of cutleries, one for each item, guarding her food as she left to take a bath. She was distracted by the reflection of her freshly pressed white shirt and grey slack, which she hung the night before. As she unbuttoned her nightshirt, she then stopped. Lena's blood ran cold and her breathing shallow. She couldn't think, she couldn't talk. Right at the center of her chest was a target, bright red, almost tattooed on. Her mind was racing. She didn't know what to do. Was someone in the house? It was a tiny shoebox of an apartment. No way she would have missed the person while she was making breakfast. I'll remove it. This is not real. She jumped into the shower, scrubbing at her skin furiously with soap and a bath sponge. It wouldn't come out. She threw away the sponge and used her nails instead, trying to scrape it off like a peel-off tattoo. Her skin was raw and bloody. Her nail chipped, but the target was still there. Lena took a deep breath, counted 1, 2, 3. It was not the time to think, just to move. She showered off the blood. She was going to find out who did this to her. So that's my story, what I have so far. I just thought of it as to go, and yeah, hopefully I'll build Lena's character.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. So that's no. Before don't rush off. Yeah, just want to ask.
Okay.
First question I want to ask is, how are you, Mala? I haven't seen you.
I'm good. How are you, Aiman? And I'm so happy to see Alice.
Yes. Do you see Alice just now?
Way too long.
Yeah.
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
Like last I saw you was at my wedding.
Yes, and I saw you.
I didn't really see you for
So
like
sorry.
1 second.
So sorry.
It's
I was
okay.
so sorry. We did so for when was your wedding again? Happy New Year.
December.
Yeah. First, right? Yeah, because I had a gig in Singapore on November 30.
Yeah.
30, yes. So I flew back Sunday morning, just got dressed immediately and went to the ceremony, said hello, took photos, and then I was like, all right, I'm crashing, so sorry about that.
I wish I could do that, but I had to stay on top and say thank you. And
wow, it's
the
your
whole
wedding,
thing.
Mala. It's your wedding. It's your wedding.
I know.
Yes. All right. So thank you for coming. Thank you for writing that
Thank
story,
you.
and you've
Thank
developed
you so
it.
much,
Is
guys.
there anything you wanna plug? I mentioned earlier that you have an Instagram called @mal_getsfit.
So I'm most active on Instagram. Basically, what I do is I share my journey battling my autoimmune condition, ulcerative colitis. So you can find me at mal_getsfit. Basically, I share what I do in terms of my fitness, nutrition, etc.
Right. And just to double check.
Thank you.
Just to double check, that story you told just now is a story you came up with, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Like today morning.
Yes. Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank
Cool.
you.
Thank you so much. All right. Bye, Mala. All right. Cool. So yes, so I just wanted to bring that up because most of the stories tonight have been based on a lot of reality. What I mean is that it's memories, it's lived experiences. But we are always Spacewalk with me. I need to say the name more. Spacewalk with me is always open to fictional stories also. Just wanted to get that out there, and I didn't ask her to write a fictional story, but she did, and I'm so glad to see her again and to have her on the show. All right, so the next person is our final performer. She ready? Let me just double check. Yes, she is. All right, so the next person has my favorite intro so far because this is the entire thing in the intro form, which is just poet, stand-up comic, small mammal enthusiast. We can find out exactly which small mammal later. Great friend of mine, and she's coming in all the way from Singapore. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome into your hearts, Stephanie Dogfoot. Hello, Steph? Can you say something?
Yes. Hi.
Yes, we can hear you.
Can you hear me?
All right,
Okay.
take it away, Steph.
Okay. So this is a story about a grand piano and its travels. I know it doesn't sound exactly my pitch. You'll just stay with me. I'll get to that part. So when I was living in London in about 2011, I was part of this group called the Really, Really Free School. So it was a group of people, artists, and sort of activist types who decided that they wanted to squat buildings. So in the UK, it's illegal to squat buildings. Usually people, squat buildings is a place to stay, can't afford places to, can't afford rent, and it's part of like the property law. So it's like, if you find a place or a piece of land and you stay there and no one comes back to get you out, then you can stay there as long as you like. Or if the owner comes to try and get you out, he has to prove that he owns the place in court. So what this means is that people in the UK can, if you find an abandoned building, move into it, change the locks, and you can be there until the owner finds out. Sometimes this could be never. Anyway, so usually when people squat, they try and stay in places that where no one can really tell where they are. This was 2011. So quite a lot of political upheaval in the UK. The government, people were really angry. They were cutting a lot of services. University fees were going up. So a bunch of artists, squatters, and protesters were like, hey, why don't we squat the most expensive buildings in London, which are empty, and get national attention, and just to say fuck you to them, and we're going to turn these places into schools. We're going to bring all our friends who know skills, come in, share their skills, give workshops, a bunch of famous people, they'll give some talks, it'll be awesome. So that is what they did. And the first place was this massive mansion that cost several million pounds in the middle of Bloomsbury, one of the most expensive places. Obviously made headlines, and people came in from everywhere, and they gave us all kinds of stuff. They donated books. People came to give talks. Authors came in to speak. Someone donated a baby grand piano. A person who had a baby grand piano lying in their house, and it was awesome because it meant people could play anytime they wanted. And I remember there was one night when people donated lots of books. Someone found this like horrifically racist book that someone had written and thought that it would be fun to give to us for some reason. It was called Londonistan, like how awful it's going to be with like Muslim people attacking London. So we read it, and it was like full of ridiculous stuff, and we just like basically turned it into a really weird improv night, because someone started reading it and in like really like scary voices, and then someone started playing the cello, then someone started playing the piano, and we just started making fun of the book. And that basically was like a weird kind of like jazz and racism night that we came up with. Kind of fun, and so yeah, so we had lots of workshops, and as we kind of expected, the owner figured out we were staying there, and was not happy and evicted us. So they were like, okay, we've got to find a new place. We find this place, this massive mansion, maybe about 10 minutes away, and it is in this like really expensive neighborhood, and it's kind of under renovation, completely empty. They find some mail. Look at the name, it's a bit of a weird name. They don't think much of it. They see some a name on the envelope is like the surname is like Richie and like the first name is like G, and they don't think much of it until we wake up the next morning and the place is swarmed with reporters. It turns out that indeed we have accidentally broken into Guy Ritchie's house, which is under renovation. So for the next few days, we can't. It's a weird thing. Can't exactly leave. Someone decides it's a really clever idea to go on Twitter and tell people, "Hey, everyone is welcome to come to this house." And so we get lots of random people showing up. He's like, it was a cool thing. We got there's like homeless people. It was like, yeah, homeless people come here and stay, which was cool because they got a place to stay, except none of us had any experience working with homeless people or the kind of needs that they had. And so that was interesting. And so for a while, we were kind of in sort of like a weird lockdown in that house, in Guy Ritchie's house, because we were surrounded by newspaper reporters, TV cameras. It was really hard to get in or out because everyone wanted to interview us. There was like stuff in the Daily Mail and all that. I remember like a reporter walked out of the house, and that reporter like stalked me to the train station, and he was like, "Who are you? Where are you from?" So I made up a bunch of stuff. Like, yeah, I'm from Hong Kong. I'm an international student. I don't really know what I'm doing here. So that was weird. Eventually, they got evicted and they moved into another place. They decided, like, you know what, fuck it. There's going to be reporters outside. We're going to they're going to be filming us no matter what. So why not have a massive party as we leave this mansion? So they invited a bunch of musicians and basically decided they were going to invite all their friends and just move all their stuff out like on foot. So they got like drums and that sort of thing, and people playing the piano. And there was like 50 of them just marched out Guy Ritchie's house to an abandoned pub in the middle of like Leicester Square, which is their next place. And then eventually, so then we moved into the third place, which is a place in Leicester Square. And eventually that pub also, we had a great time there. Eventually the owner came back and was like, "Can't stay here anymore. You got to get out." And I was going to school around the corner. And the school was run by quite an eccentric person. The student union leader was kind of an eccentric guy who basically was very into, recycling, you could say, free stuff. Our school didn't have a lot of money, and I knew that the pub that we were squatting in had a lot of like spare chairs and tables that no one was going to use. And so one night our school was having like an open mic, a jam session. And I was like, "Hey, you know what? There's a pub down the road. We're going to leave it tomorrow morning. If you want some chairs for our school and some tables, you could send a bunch of people over and get them." And he was like, "Oh yeah, that's cool. It's cool. We got all these people at our open mic. They're all quite drunk. It's easy to get them to do stuff." And so that's what he did. So he went down to the pub, checked it out, ran back, and he was like, "Oh my God, they have a grand piano. We need this for our school. We need a fucking grand piano for our school." At the same time, the person who, one of the squatters was running the whole project, she calls me up and she's really angry. And she's like, "I'm not going to let you take the grand piano. It's too heavy. You're all going to break your backs. I don't want to be responsible for this. And I just want to sleep. Please tell them not to show up." And so this girl, she's like one of the most intimidating people I've met in my life. It's weird because like her name was also Steph. She was actually Malaysian, half Malaysian, Chinese, but she was basically just like the more confident, better version of me. And I was terrified of her. Also because she had a really bad temper. And so I was basically begging this guy, "Please don't show up at this place. She's going to be really angry with me. She'll kick me off this thing." And he's like, "No, man, it's fine. It's all good. I'll get a bunch of people and we'll go." So basically I'm so terrified that I go home and I make pancakes and go to sleep. I was like, I don't want anything to do with this. What I hear the next morning was that the next morning I show up at school, the grand piano is in the middle of our student union. So they have brought the grand piano back. What actually happened was that they marched a bunch of drunk musicians from our school at about midnight to this abandoned pub, knocked on the door, and were like, hey, we've come here to collect the piano and a bunch of chairs. And the other thing to know is that next to this pub is a club, and there's a whole bunch of drunk university students who see this happening, and they try to come inside. They're like, haha, it's a squat, anyone can come inside. So the girl Steph, the better version of me, wakes up, is in a terrible mood, is wearing a large t-shirt and her underwear and socks, and like goes to the door. There's like some drunk university student who's like, hey, I'm standing in the doorway, I can come in, can't I? From this club next door. And he's like, and then he stares at her because she's just wearing a t-shirt and no pants. And she's about to tell him to fuck off, but then she decides it's a better idea to just punch him in the face. And he starts screaming, and all his drunk start screaming. And then the guy from my school takes a piece of wood and pushes him away. And the guy starts calling the police. And my friend just grabs the phone from him, and he's like, it's fine, it's fine. My friend is just very drunk. Don't worry about it. And they bring the giant trolley from our school and somehow put the grand piano on it and wheel it back to the school and set the whole thing up by morning. And the last, so my university has just had a thing since then. And the last time I went to visit my university, I found out that they now have a club called the Piano Appreciation Society. So there's a club of people who take care of this piano and tune it every now and then. And I remember asking, last time I was back, I asked this like university student, I was like, hey, what do you know about this piano? It's a pretty cool piano, isn't it? And he's like, yeah. Apparently that I've heard the story. Apparently, they said Madonna had sex on it once. And I was like, yeah, thanks to me. That's how you know that story. And that's the end of my story.
Thank you, Steph. Thank you for. Oh, I did not set this back up properly. All right, thank you. Hey, so that's a great story. I don't know if you can read the comments, but a lot of people are like, they're going all in. People are quoting Piano Appreciation Story. That was by Nadia. There was a Wiki said, gasp, she was your evil twin, followed by Kok Wei Liang. Oh please, she was probably a cult leader wannabe. My personal favorite comment was right after that, also by Wei Liang. In the movie of this, they'll get ScarJo to play you and Tilda Swinton to play other Steph. Very similar looking people. I love it. Thank you for coming on, Steph. Is there anything you would like to plug or to push?
So you can follow me. My name is Steph at Steph Dogfoot on Twitter, on Instagram, STPHDOGFOOT. And you can follow me on Facebook also. I'm Stephanie Dogfoot.
Yes.
And also I'm part of this project that's happening in April now. I know there's a bunch of people who possibly board, possibly writers, part of this thing called Singpo Raimo.
Yes.
Singapore Poetry Writing Month. So although it's Singapore, highly welcome, there's lots of Malaysians in there. Yes. I think it'd be great to populate it with more Malaysians, to add some variety. Yeah. Not just
I'm technically present in the group. Yes.
Yeah, you're in it. Yeah.
Technically,
so
yes.
They give a prompt every day for 30 days to the end of April, and just feel free to come and like join in the fun. And the cool thing also is that we even have a team of moderators who are basically looking at poems posted basically all the time. So if you put the hashtag like crit, please crit, they will give you feedback like for free. And,
yes. You can also choose like a gentle crit, I think, and no crit. So basically, depending on how much criticism you're willing to accept in any given day or for any given piece. Yeah. Yes. So it's set up very well. It's a very smooth running team. It doesn't seem to matter what time people post. There's always someone ready to comment and to give feedback. Excellent community, Singpo Remo. But also Steph, you have a book, don't you?
Yes, I have a book.
Yes. Are you looking for the book? Cool, because I was looking for my copy of your book and I couldn't find it.
I have a box of books.
Alright, yes, you have boxes. I hope you have boxes of your books, yes. All right.
So it is here.
Okay. So what is the book?
Called Roadkill for Beginners.
Yes.
Roadkill for Beginners. Poetry. If you like the story of the piano, there's a lot more similar stories in there in poetry form. And poems about living different places, dating terrible people, some good people, and that sort of thing.
Okay, and
So you
what?
can get-
Yeah.
Oh,
Sorry,
yeah, you can
go-
get this online at it's published by Math Paper Press, which is also the Books Actually bookstore. So you can go to booksactually.com, BOOKSACTUALLY, and yeah, it's ordered online. Do support them because they're an independent bookstore that's like really struggling, and yeah.
Oh, do you know they do shipping? If
Yes,
they ship to us, to Malaysia or to anywhere else? All right, cool. So thank you so much for that story, Steph. Steph was the final poem, but before we leave, I would like to just try something. Yeah, to all my friends who are still here, Umar, please look up. I have set it up. Oh, I don't know who this is in the middle top here. Let's. I think I will kick them out. Yes, I do want to kick the participant. I don't know what you can see, but hello, everyone is on screen. Everyone who's still here with their webcams on is on screen. So do we still? We just asked, do we still have shipping? Apparently we do. It's essential services. But yes, so everyone's on screen. So on I'm just trying to get a screen cap of everyone. I can't really do it myself, but to anyone who's still watching, thank you so much for being with us for almost 2 hours. There was only 7 storytellers. There was a long journey. There was some technical issues, and I was still, this is the first time I'm in front of the controls, and I'm just doing it a lot. Oh, Ammar, you're back. Hello. Sorry, did I kick you out? Sorry. Yes.
I was on Discord with other friends, so I had to to.
Don't worry about it. Yeah, this is just for a group shot at the end. So anyone, if you're still watching,
so that's
please,
why I'm joining.
Yeah, please screen cap. Please screen cap. If anyone has any final words, go for it. If anyone in the comments has any
follow
issues.
Untuk Kita on Instagram, please.
All right. Okay. Wait. Yeah. As the host. Okay. So I'm gonna go clockwise. All right. Follow on Instagram at @mal_getsfit. Sim has got shows every Tuesday. Sorry, not Tuesday. I was thinking of the number 2. Sim has got a live stream every day at 2 p.m. Check it out. Yeah. Buy Steph's book. Follow her on Instagram. I'm here. Follow Spacewalk with me. If you have not already liked the page, we'll do this more often. Maybe we'll see how. If you want this to happen more often, please just shout out in the comments. I envision this as a one-off thing, just because I didn't know whether I could pull this off or not. Alright, Ammar, follow Untuk Kita. Yeah. And then
follow Untuk Kita on Instagram. It's FOR.KITA and join the campaign.
Yes, join the campaign.
There.
Umar runs Makhluk Seni, and I forgot what you plugged earlier at this point.
After CMO is done, please come over and visit.
Yes, please come over and visit Creator Space. Creator Space is a co-working workshop. Yeah, and also they can do theater stuff there. There's a whole bunch of things you can figure it out, but the keyword is Creator Space. Yes. Thank you so much. That has been our show. That's been the first edition of Spacewalk with me. And Arani, thank you, Arani, for coming. Okay, so before we leave, I would like to try to cue everyone, and I realized that there is some lag. So everyone, I'm gonna count down from 3, 2, 1, go. And then please smile just for the photo op, but keep the smile for about 5-ish seconds, or at least until I say, just to accommodate everyone's lag, just so that we can all be on screen at the same time smiling. All right. So so yes, please, thank you, wonderful storytellers. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Smile. I'm just thinking of happy thoughts from Steph's dog. I think it's Steph's dog. Okay, cool. That should be long enough. And if that wasn't long enough, the video recording will have it. And I'll screen cap it. Yes, thank you, Sim. Thank you, Mala. Thank you, Steph. Thank you, Ammar. Thank you, Umar. Thank you, Vesha, who's not on screen. Thank you, Juliana, who's also not on screen. Say goodbye to our storytellers. And that's the show.
Bye.
Yes.
Thanks for having
Okay,
us.
bye, everybody. Hope you enjoyed the show.
Oh, wait, you're still talking.
Bye.
All right, cool. Yes. You can say your goodbyes if you want.
Bye.
Cool.
So
All right.
now, my man.
I'm going to mute you guys. Yes. All right. So yeah, that was the show. Spacewalk with me, Volume 1. Spacewalk with me. Storytelling. All kinds of stories, not fiction, real stories, whatever it is, go for it. I'm not. I'm currently, honestly, I'm thinking I might just do this again next week, maybe, if people are interested. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Thank you so much for your time. Please thank all our lovely storytellers, and we will see you again. I'm ending the stream now. Good night.